So what the hell just happened with Palantir? The stock started at -8, finished the day at plus 13.4. What just happened? Why? There's a good reason. But in order for me to explain to you this reason in under 5 minutes, I gotta explain the geopolitics of what just happened. Because what transpired in the last 24 to 48 hours is gonna change the world in a serious way for the foreseeable future. And I think Palantir is gonna be a part of that, whether you like it or not. Now, a lot of people talked about Palantir, about the intrinsic value, about DCFs, about a $5 valuation. And I've just sat and waited. And what just happened in the last 24 to 48 hours is just proof that everything Carp said, even though he was incoherent, even though he was rambling on, even though certain people had trouble understanding what is his point, everything he's been saying for the past year just came true. While everybody else was busy laying on the beach, drinking Mai Tais, Alex Proof, Alex Carp was building a bunker and stocking it up with cans of beans, food, drinks, oxygen supply, pretty much building a fortress. Because he was telling you for the past year, hey, while you're all chilling on the beach, let me just tell you, the world isn't getting any more normal. In fact, it's getting worse by the day. It's getting more chaotic by every day that goes by. Things are not getting any better. They're getting worse. And if you think COVID was bad, you ain't seen nothing yet. And as people were laughing about his doomsday predictions, and as people were laughing as he was buying up gold, and as they were laughing when he was saying, hey, we're only going to serve the West against the evil forces, and as people were criticizing him for limiting his own TAM, he was saying, big event is coming, and the West is going to go up against some evil forces, and we're going to be on the right side of history. We're not going to be working with any of these buffoons, because we're going to serve the West, and we're going to serve freedom. And everybody was criticizing him for that. Oh, this really weird mentality. How dare he says these things? He's just limiting his total addressable market, blah, 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 blah. $5 fair market value. What happened in the last 24 hours with Russia and Ukraine changed the world in a really shitty way, and it's going to take decades to revert back, if ever. And I'll explain. Russia has rolled back the time to pretty much what we saw as kids. Now, I grew up in 1981, and I was a part of Russia for a whole decade when it was still called the USSR. What Putin did in the last 48 hours and the reaction of the West basically solidified the fact that he's taking over Ukraine. NATO and the Western world are now looking from the sidelines, letting Ukraine burn, and that is horrific and unfortunate. And it's a betrayal by the West that left Ukraine out to dry, even though they gave them assurances in 1994 that they will protect them when they gave back their nukes to Russia. So the West basically let Russia have Ukraine. These sanctions you're hearing on TV, it's a bunch of baloney. Blocking 4 banks, it's nonsense. So the West just gave up Ukraine. Now, Putin taking Ukraine and already holding Belarus. Belarus is just part of Russia, make no mistake about it. So Putin now has his empire. He has Russia, he has Belarus, he has Ukraine, and now he's signaled to all these former Soviet Union countries that are not part of NATO yet. Kazakhstan, all the other countries that are in there, Moldova, Uzbekistan, I can name a lot of countries. All of these other countries that were flirting with NATO, he basically said to them, hey, if you flirt with NATO, look what I did to Ukraine. You're much less powerful than Ukraine. You don't want to F with me. So he solidified his power. And I think that it's a net loss for Putin. Make no mistake about it. His country will suffer from what he did on net. Everybody's going to suffer. Everybody just lost. EU just lost because they're going to have an energy crisis, commodities crisis. Ukraine just lost a Western government and they lost their freedoms and they're now going to be part of Russia. Indirectly or directly, it doesn't matter. And Russia lost because even though Russia may find other buyers for their natural gas, China, they're going to have plenty of clients for the natural gas. The EU has now realized that they have to get off of this addiction to Russian gas and they have to diversify finally where they buy their gas. So even though Russia is getting clout over Ukraine, and even though Russia is becoming more powerful in the sense that it actually has more resources from Ukraine, the influence and leverage it had over Europe is gone because they just, they show their cards and Europe now knows they have to find gas energy elsewhere. Being dependent on Russia is a no-go. And already we're hearing these things out of Germany about it. German officials are saying, hey, we cannot be dependent on Russia. This is just cannot be. Now, what happens next is uncertain and nobody really knows. But there's one thing we do know. What happened next, whatever happens, is going to be chaotic, it's going to be crazy, and it's going to be unpredictable. And the one company that thrives in all of these three elements is Palantir. Now, cybersecurity is going up through the roof today. The CrowdStrikes, the CrowdStrikes, the Fortinix, the Palo Alto networks are all going up because Russia has the best hackers in the world, and it seems like we're on the path to World War III, but not in the sense that you would think about it, not on the battlefield, not in foxholes, not with missiles or cruising missiles or tanks, because there's certain balance of terror. Nobody wants to fight directly because everybody has nukes. So this new Cold War that is brewing up, it seems like if it happens electronically. It happens over, the way we do business. It happens in every country, in a sense, in a way that's no longer fighting over godforsaken pieces of land like they did in the 70s and the 80s, like Afghanistan, Vietnam. This is old school Cold War. This new Cold War that's brewing right now, and with the taking of Ukraine, it seems to be the first step, is going to happen electronically. And make no mistake about it, Russia is more than capable to hold its own. In fact, I would say that it is probably on par, probably even better as far as their hacking abilities and what they can do, the amount of damage they can do electronically to companies. So a company that has been developing a platform which is Foundry for the commercial sector and Gotham for the governments is pretty much now the hottest commodity in the market. Everybody wants to work with them. All of a sudden, a whole new market, a whole new TAM, total addressable market, just opened up to Palantir within this 24, 48 hours. Every single government in the West, including Europe. Yes, you remember a few days ago I said Europe hates Palantir? Well, guess what? Now they know they need Palantir because there's a bigger enemy. Now they've seen the bigger enemy. They no longer will hate Palantir. All these European governments would need Foundry, they would need Gotham, and they would need Palantir to protect them from the big bad wolf. So the European hate to Palantir is gone with the way that Russia is behaving. And now Palantir is basically sitting there with the cybersecurity company saying, well, this new world order that we're about to experience is going to make us the hottest commodity in the market. Every single Western government is going to need us. And the one person sitting there and saying, I told you so, is Alex Carp. Alex Carp has been beating this drum for the past few years saying, hey, things are about to become more messy. We're bulletproofing our company against it. We don't have any debt. We're stockpiling gold. We're prepping for the Black Swan event. And everybody was saying, what the hell are you rambling on? You're Einstein-looking mother lover. And now we're seeing he was right. So do I think that Palantir is going to go up insanely in the next few days? Who knows? Maybe not. Maybe yes. Maybe it's going to fluctuate up and down, go up, go down. Nobody knows. Might be extremely volatile in the future. But what you saw today was a sign, was a precursor to what's coming in the next 2 to 3 years. A complete heat up of a new Cold War electronically and a demand for Gotham, which is going to drive Palantir into much more government TAM, which I didn't even think existed up until a few days ago because I thought the commercial side is going to be much bigger. So now they just become a two-headed monster. What it does to the stock price in the short, medium term, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate in that. I don't trade, so I couldn't care less. But as a long-term investor, buying Palantir at these prices, given what I just told you, for me, it's a no-brainer. Of course, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not just saying this. I'm not a financial advisor. This is definitely not financial advice. You do your own research. I'm just sharing with you my opinion. I think as a long-term investor, with what just happened in Russia and Ukraine and what's about to happen, investing in a company that has Gotham, for me, it's a no-brainer. They just increased their TAM exponentially. So that's kind of my theory about what happened. I know a lot of you will not agree with me. Some of you may, some of them, not. But what those who criticize me don't understand is that I'm not promoting Palantir. I'm not on their payroll. I'm not getting paid to do these videos from them. I'm not trying to convince you to buy Palantir stock. I'm just sitting out here, shooting a video on my phone, explaining to you how I feel about this company and what my theory is, because it's fun for me to do it, and certain people seem to like it. I'm not advocating for or against Palantir. That you got to decide for yourself. I do just want to say thank you to all the people who supported me through this god-awful crisis in Ukraine and Russia, because I do have family on the ground. Thank you all for the support. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the warm wishes, for the lovely stream we had this morning when you guys came in and made me feel much better. I appreciate every single one of you. I truly feel blessed that I have this community with me. I'm not going to say that you're the best community on YouTube, because I know it to be true. I don't need to say this. Love you all. Thank you so much. Hopefully, we'll see you at a better day tomorrow.